Hey, it's Karen here, and welcome. So today we're going to do a very gentle restorative practice, and I think, yeah, it's much needed. So take time to get your props ready, and yeah, we'll get started very shortly. So it looks like I've got a lot of props going on here, and I have. In restorative yoga, we want to make sure that we feel really supported by the props, and we're not hanging, especially in the joints, the lower back, the knees, the hips. We don't want to feel like we're hanging there. We don't want to feel like we're using muscular effort in the shape. And it differs from yin because we use a lot more props so that we bring the body into a really restful state. So in yin yoga, we take the body into shapes to focus on a particular area. So when we do yin, we want to feel a broad sense of stretching or stress in the target area. But in restorative yoga, we don't want to feel any stress in the body at all. We want the body to feel completely held and supported so that we can soothe our nervous system and just bring it back into balance. And that's why we've got a lot of props here today. So this is just my normal bolster that I sit on. So we're going to need 2 bolsters, and if you don't have any bolsters, then you can use like a blanket, sort of strong kind of blanket, and roll it up like so. Or if you have some sort of sturdy kind of pillows, not the soft and fluffy ones, sort of the harder kind of pillows, you could maybe wrap those in a blanket and just form sort of like a sausage shape is what we're looking for. So we're going to need 2 bolsters or 2 blankets, you know, just make do with what you have. I know I have the luxury of having lots of yoga equipment. So yeah, just make do with what you have. We need a strap. If you don't have a yoga strap, then a belt or a scarf will do. And then if you have a strap, just loop the end of the strap through the 2 buckles and then over one and under the other so that you can make a loop with the strap. And we'll get to that in a minute, but it's nice to have your props prepared so that there's as little sort of distraction or disturbance to you as we move through the practice. And then we've got some blocks, and we're going to use those in a later pose just for a bit of height. And then we have our eye pillow, which is really nice to rest over the eyes. That helps to stimulate your vagus nerve, which helps to switch on the rest and digest your parasympathetic nervous system. And that's what this practice is all about. It's about attempting to nourish and nurture the body back to homeostasis. So being out of that anxious, sort of grippy, sort of tension that I know a lot of us are feeling right now. So you can pause the video and go and gather your props, and then we'll start with just a small check-in to see how we're feeling. So when you're ready, grab your bolster or cushion and find a comfortable seat. And I like to cross my legs this way because it feels okay for me. For you, it might feel like torture, so don't do that. Find a seat that's comfortable for you. So legs out straight is perfectly fine, or one knee bent, one leg straight. And once you've found that comfortable seat, just close down the eyes and rest your palms on your knees, index finger and thumbs touching. And just take a few moments to notice how you feel. So notice your energy levels. Are you feeling a little worn, a little anxious, a little jittery? Or do you already feel quite calm and collected? There's no right or wrong way to feel. We're just observing. And again, practicing that acceptance of what we find. So not trying to change, not trying to be different, but simply accepting who we are in this moment. And accepting with love and compassion. Notice any sensations in your physical body. And again, if you become aware of any sensations, can you practice loving acceptance? Or maybe just compassion. If loving acceptance is not happening right now, that's okay. But just in noticing, observing with as little judgment as possible. And then when you're ready, bring your hands to your heart center, Anjali Mudra, just resting the base of the thumbs against the heart center. And take a moment to set an intention for your practice. So how do you want to be in this world? And then we'll seal our intentions with an Om. But before we Om, really pay attention to the progression of the vibration of that Om. So notice, where does it start? Maybe you'll be able to sense it beneath your thumbs. Maybe you'll sense it all the way up to the crown. So just observe. So when you're ready, taking a breath in through the nose. And when you're ready, blinking, open the eyes. And then we'll come to our first shape. So just moving the furniture out of the way. And for this, we're going to need our strap or whatever you're using, a block. Again, you can use a pillow or a cushion in lieu of a block. And then, of course, our all essential eye pillow. So we take the strap around the thighs and then pop the block lengthways in between the thighs. And what we do, the point of this block in between the thighs is to just allow the bones to settle back into their sort of given position. And then we use the strap to tighten the thighs together so that we don't have to use any muscular effort to hold the block in place. Now remember to not cut off the circulation in the thighs. Sometimes when we do this in class, a lot of students sort of tighten it and it's sort of digging into the skin, and I wonder if that's actually feels comfortable. So just make sure that the strap is tight enough so that you can let your legs and thighs completely relax, and that the block won't drop out from between the thighs. And then we're going to lay down and we want to have the feet underneath the knees, because if it's forward, it just doesn't feel as comfortable. But again, adjust what feels right for you. And then bring the, sort of give the hips a little wiggle, and immediately you will hopefully feel a real sense of release and sort of connection with the sacrum against the ground. And if it's a little chilly, again, you can cover yourself with a blanket. And then you can pop your eye pillow on. And just bring your arms out by your side or palms on the belly. And this is a version of what we call constructive rest pose. And it does what it says on the tin. It's a constructive rest pose. We are deliberately bringing the body into a restful shape so that we can nourish our body back to balance. So just lift and spread the toes, give them a little wiggle, make sure there's no grippiness there. Notice if the shoulders are up around the ears, and maybe you want to create some space there. And again, adjust your feet to a position where you don't feel like you're using any muscular effort to hold the legs in any position. And then when you're ready, draw your attention down to your hip flexors, so into the hip crease, and notice if they're still sort of gripping or tightening. And deliberately softening all around this central part of the body. So the hips, the pelvis, the sacrum, the lower back. And maybe a sigh out, letting the body know that it's safe here. Just letting the body know that it is okay to rest. And paying attention to the back of the body. So noticing if there's a sense of contraction in the torso. And by that I mean if you feel like you're sort of holding yourself away from the ground, or you're not quite letting the body relax. So take another breath in through the nose and a big sigh out the mouth. And I invite you to do that as many times as you need. Not so much that you hyperventilate, because that's going to bring on the opposite effect that we're looking for here, but as many times as you need so that the body just softens and relaxes. and encourages the muscles, the bones, the ligaments, the organs, just letting them all sort of breathe a sigh of relief. It's like you're giving them permission to really rest here in this pose. Notice if the belly muscles are contracting or tense. And imagine you're like a Buddha, and you have a Buddha belly. Just let the whole front of the abdomen, just let it relax and soften even more. And you can take a breath in through the nose, and as you sigh out, imagine or visualize a sort of a gray cloud or gas just coming out of the body as it draws all tension, all stresses. Let it all exit the body on the exhale in this sort of imaginary grey cloud. I invite you to do that 2 more times, breathing in and then sighing out, expelling on that grey cloud, not just the stale oxygen, but all stresses and tensions. And just 1 more breath in. And as you exhale, just emptying out that stress, that busyness, emptying the body out. And then really slowly, just hugging the knees towards the chest and just slipping the strap off and the block to one side. And then extend the legs out along the mat, just taking a little sort of rebound here. And again, the arms can come out by the side or palms on the belly. And then just slowly hugging the knees in towards the chest. A little rock from side to side. And then just rolling over to one side and making a little pillow with your bottom arm to support your head. And then pressing into your top hand, let your head be heavy as you slowly help yourself to sit tall. And then when you're ready, we're going to take our bolster onto our right side. So have it close to the body, in line with the hip. And we're going to lay back down and just hugging the knees in towards the chest, or the left knee in towards the chest, I beg your pardon. And then drop the left knee over the bolster or cushion or whatever it is that you're substituting here. And you can roll onto your right side. So this is a really supportive twist. And then again, you can pop your eye pillow on, and you can bring the arms out to the side, just moving any props out of the way so that you're not distracted. And just let that left foot sort of dangle over the edge of the bolster so that it anchors the leg and helps the twist, keeps the body in the shape rather than, again, having to use any muscular effort to hold the shape. So granted, you might feel, you will feel a twist in your spine, and you might feel a stretch sort of on the left glute, maybe the left hamstring maybe. But we're using the bolster or the blanket to bring the ground up to meet us so that the left thigh bone is not pulling on the left hip. So it's still a twist. We can still feel the twist, but it's not a really deep twist, which might be a bit more yin, where we can feel a bit more stretch or stress. And again, if you've been holding tension in abdomen, just maybe sigh out and let that soften down. Just let the belly muscles relax. Notice if there's a sense of grippiness in the fingers and toes, and just let them soften even more. Just a few more breaths here. And then really slowly, never be in a rush to exit a shape in yin or restorative, and just roll back onto your back. Let the legs flop out and sigh out. And let the front of the hips soften. Let the legs just fall wherever they may. And then when you're ready, we'll move to the other side. So again, just moving your props out of the way. bringing the bolster or blanket over to your left hip, and then dropping the right leg over so that the right foot comes to the outside of the bolster, rolling onto the left hip as much or as little as feels okay for you. And again, just popping your eye pillow on, maybe covering yourself with a blanket. I know I feel the cold when I practice yin and restorative, so I always like to get really snuggly, get really cozy, remembering that, you know, if the body's cold, it cannot fully relax. So you want to make sure that it is just covered, and you just soothe the central nervous system. You just soothe that anxiety with keeping the body physically warm. Remembering that this is a restorative practice, so we want to really nourish and nurture ourselves here. And again, if the belly is tense, or you're sort of subconsciously clenching the belly, just let that soften. Notice if your jaw is clenched, and maybe open and close the mouth a few times. Move the jaw left and right. Just release tension there. And let the tongue soften in the mouth. Just about 10 or so more breaths here. And then a breath in, and a sigh out. And again, just really slowly, there's no rush. Just slide that right leg over and extend the legs out. And just rest your arms down. Just give the spine and the hips a few moments here to just come back to their natural shape. And then hugging the knees in. Let's give the lower back a little squeeze. The knees a little squeeze. And then rolling to the side, making that little pillow with your bottom arm to support your head. And then pressing into the top hand, slowly come to sit. And then we'll come to the next shape. So this is where all of our blocks and props come in. So just making a little tower with the blocks or whatever it is that you're going to use. You might even have books. And then resting the bolster against the blocks. Now this might be too high, so maybe just 2 blocks. And then we take something for our hands either side. And then we take our second bolster or your rolled up blanket, rolled up towel. And then I generally like to place just blanket here at the base of the bolster. That feels better for my lower back. So you can just have a little play around and see what suits you or not. And then we sit with our lower back right up against the bolster so that there's no gap there. And then the legs go over the second bolster. Behind the backs of the knees is preferable. And then prepare the warming device. And then we lay back down. And the blanket just makes the ground a little higher so that there's not so much arch on my lower back here. And then I rest my arms on the blocks here so that the shoulders aren't under any pressure with the arms dangling down. And then you can just cover yourself with the blanket, pop your eye pillow on, and then snuggle in. And you can adjust the height of the blocks depending on the length of your arm bones, the preference. So just make sure that there's no niggly bits in this shape, especially at the lower back. I have a student who calls this the business class pose, which I loved, because it feels like you're in business class, and it's delicious, and it's really nourishing and really nurturing and just really lovely to just stay here. And then just go through the body from the crown of the head to the tips of the toes and notice any areas that have any tension there or a sense of holding on. And just bit by bit, area by area, just let the whole body sort of melt into this shape. Let the props support you here. Just give yourself permission to rest and be held. If there's any sense of gripping in the fingers and toes, just let that soften even more. Just notice any sensation of the tension just leaving the body, like it's just melting into the earth. Now it might take a few minutes for the body to settle into the shape, and please, adjust for you if there's a niggle at the lower back or the arms. You don't want to be distracted here. You want to allow the body to fully and completely rest. Now you can stay here for as long as you like. I sometimes stay in this shape for up to 20 minutes, but again, it's your practice. You can determine that. But otherwise, with as little disturbance as possible, we're going to transition to Shavasana. So just moving the props out of the way. You might even put this little blanket underneath the head as a little cushion. And then you can snuggle in for Shavasana. And the bolster behind the backs of the knees just tends to support the lower back. So if you lay with your legs out straight and your lower back doesn't feel okay there, it's really nice to just have the bolster there. And arms out by your side or palms on the belly, whatever feels, again, most comfortable in your body. So slowly bringing your awareness back to your breath, noticing your inhale and your exhale. Maybe just wiggling fingers and toes. And then, if it feels okay, reaching the arms overhead for a nice big stretch. And then let your arms rest down. Just really slowly bend your knees, bring your feet to the mat or the bolster. And just feel down into your feet. Just feel the weight of the feet on the ground, the steadiness of the ground beneath the feet. And then when you're ready, hug the knees in towards the chest, maybe a little rock from side to side. And then just rolling to the side, again, support the head. And then pressing into the top hand, keep your head heavy. Let that be the last thing to come up. Just find a comfortable seat. And then bring your hands to Anjali Mudra, resting the thumbs against the heart center. And just take a few moments here to notice how you feel, not just physically, but energetically. And feeling a bit more centered, a bit calmer. And when you're ready, we'll seal our intentions and seal our practice with a single Om. We'll take a breath in through the nose. Bring the thumbs to Ajna, center of the forehead, bowing to ourselves and to each other. Namaste. So thank you so much for joining me for that nourishing, nurturing practice. I hope you feel wonderful. Please do get in touch if you have any questions. Karen@karengrant.com.au. Otherwise, I will see you next time on the mat. Thank you so much. See you soon.